Retirement Spy interviews fitness expert Suzanne Blokzyl to discuss the importance of reevaluating health goals as we age, the significance of finding the right trainer, and the role of accountability and community in fitness. They emphasize the necessity of dynamic warm-ups and cool-downs, the non-negotiable nature of strength training, and the importance of cardiovascular for maintaining health. The conversation provides valuable insights for those entering the golden years, focusing on holistic health and fitness strategies. In this conversation, they discuss various aspects of health and wellness as we age. They cover the importance of balancing different types of exercise, the validity of the 10,000-step workout benchmark, and the significance of daily movement beyond structured workouts. Nutrition, hydration, and the role of supplements are also explored, along with stress management techniques like breath work and meditation. Finally, they emphasize the need for cognitive engagement to maintain mental health and provide actionable takeaways for listeners to improve their overall well-being. Welcome to the Retirement Spy Studio, where we share experiences and a collaborative platform for those entering phase 2 of life and are ready to embrace this chapter with gusto and an attitude of carpe diem. You can find out more about us at www.theretirementspy.com or send us ideas and topics to hello@theretirementspy.com. Today, we're really excited. We have my friend Suzanne Blokzyl, who heads fitness at the Cherokee Town and Country Club here in Atlanta. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you for having me, being here.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. So what we're looking for today is the topic is aging strong. What we're really seeing now as we're beginning to hit those elderly years is that we need to think about health in a different way, not only holistically, but the way we think about health when we were a 25-year-old is much different than health as we approach golden years in our 60s and above, right?
Absolutely, Duncan. I feel like we definitely need to reevaluate our goals, and to whether it be if you're going on a trip and you're going to be hiking for a while, or you're wanting to end up playing golf more or sports, or even play with your grandchildren. You kind of have to reevaluate your goals and not just have a workout without a goal in mind.
No, that's right. And it's about mindset, I think. You're looking at the end game, meaning, okay, I'm going on a cruise, which would be different than I'm going on a backroads expedition, which is hiking, or different from I want to play golf better. And the things that you're working are totally different. And so I like what you're saying you're really training for the activities that you're having for day-to-day living. It's funny because I'm in a class with Suzanne and she does such a great job from us. But one of the things I think is kind of funny in our class is there's an exercise we all look at. Can you get up off the ground without using your hands? And I thought that was a funny exercise that we did. We were doing that just the other day. And it's a different skill set, right?
Okay, we'll be doing that tomorrow morning.
Thank you very much.
I'll make everybody do that.
Well, I'm skipping the class now that we have to do that. But
yeah, it is a different mindset and kind of the quality of life that you want to be living. And also if you have any aches and pains or how you're feeling as well, too. Will also motivate your goals.
Exactly right. And when you think of day things, day in and day out, it's simple things. It's picking up your grandkids, right? It's carrying groceries. We talked about getting off the floor easily, but you're working backwards of your quality of life and what you want to do. But it's not about having the six-pack abs anymore or anything else. It's more about independence.
It is.
So tell me about certified professionals like yourself. Today, we see so much rhetoric on social media and everything else about people that are telling you that they're trainers, what they can do. They're doing Tai Chi workouts. You got 5-minute abs. They've got all these things. When you're looking for a trainer, especially at our age, what should we be looking for?
Definitely credentials, whether it be American College of Sports Medicine, ACSM, or ACE, but definitely have credentials. Education is always helpful as well, too. But definitely there's a lot out there. There's a lot of information that isn't evidence-based, and you really need the research to make those claims. And there's claims out there from everything, like you said, Tai Chi, that's all you have to do, and you can lose like 20 pounds. I heard that the other day, last week. They're like, oh, can we do Tai Chi? I heard we can lose 20 pounds. It's a good addition, but not for that goal. So there is a lot of influencers out there, and those are not the ones to get the advice.
And once again, it's all about your lifestyle and what you're looking for. So the trainer you're looking to hire is going to be different for other people, meaning I was thinking about my sister who went to Greece a few years ago. Cobblestone streets. I've never thought about cobblestone streets. So that's probably more about balance than anything else. So when I found a trainer, what things are kind of the litmus tests that they're going to be asking me for that we want them to know so they can design a program that's right for me?
Definitely a movement, like a movement screening on how you're moving, also any limitations, any injuries, also your health history. And then your goals, of course. So every program is individualized. As you said, you're going to be training for different things, or also even like health conditions. Like if you're worried about your cholesterol, wanting to lower that to have a workout, it possibly might be different. If you're worried about osteopenia, it's going to be a little bit of a different workout, or your balance. So you need a trainer who will listen and be able to work with overall your goals.
That's so true. I imagine there needs to also be a personality match as well. And that may be having somebody who's more of your contemporary or not a contemporary. There may be trainers who are more geared toward training Olympic athletes versus the geriatrics, so to speak. Tell me, when you find a trainer, or better yet, in your capacity, I've seen this, when you're recommending a trainer for somebody who's aging, what are you looking for in a trainer that is either a personality fit or a skill set fit? Tell me how you go about that.
Definitely personality fit for sure. There are individuals who want to ease into it, obviously go slow, be very patient. And then there's other clients who have worked out their whole life. They want to work a little bit hard, push a little bit harder. So you need to know who's right for that match. And then also credentials, if they're looking to like to run a marathon or do a triathlon. Every trainer has like their own niche, I would say.
And the client's medical history is so important too. You said this earlier, is looking at the injuries, the things, the limitations they may have. Even with their goals, you have somebody who comes in and all of a sudden you find a medical history that actually puts them at risk for working out the way that they would aspire to versus what is more appropriate. So I imagine there needs to be some connection between the trainer and knowledge of the medical history before you even begin, right?
Right, yes.
Just for the
definitely. Like we have a health screening that has all those questions to answer and different things like that.
It's so important because especially for men, I think we feel like we're a lot healthier than we actually are. And I don't think men recognize the pains as much as sometimes we should. And next thing you know, we'll work through a pain, and working through the pain actually becomes an injury. Or we don't acknowledge that we've had open heart surgery and now we're going back into cardio. And we're like, oh, wait a minute, maybe we need to rethink this a little bit.
Right. Yes. And I have clients who may want to work with me every week, and then others who kind of check in. So it's all depending on what the client is wanting as well. Or if they need the accountability to show up, have that appointment, or just looking for like overall guidance, and then they're on their own. So everyone can be different on that aspect as well.
What I like most about working out with Suzanne and her team are twofold. One is, if I've got to pay for it, I'm too cheap not to show up just because I'm paying for it, even though it doesn't cost that much. And then two, it is the accountability. I've got somebody sitting there at 7:00 in the morning looking at their watch saying, all right, Duncan, where are you? You're supposed to be working out. And I think that accountability is so important. Everybody I know says, oh yeah, I've got a workout routine. I do this. But then, at the end of the day, sometimes you're feeling a little puny. You had too much to drink the night before. And the reason's not to show up. One thing I think for the audience to know here, Suzanne does great. She has a group workout. In our group workout that I'm in, we have our own accountability. So there's a one-on-one training, but give me your impression of this. Our group has its own accountability.
Yes. And that I think actually makes an impact. If you register, everyone knows you register. There's a sheet. They look at the sheet, who signed up today. And if you don't come, there will be a penalty. You'll have to do some exercises. And then as well as everyone will ask, hey, where are you? Where are you at? How come you didn't end up coming? So, and then it's also worried about you too. Like, hey, are you okay? If you're okay, then it's just like, okay, where were you? What's your excuse? So I think that actually makes a big difference for sure.
And our group is relentlessly mean to each other for the simple reason that we don't show up. We're sitting there saying, all right, Suzanne, they need to do burpees, or they show up 2 minutes late. We're all over each other. A point with this is accountability comes when you can work out with your friends with a defined group. There's so many more benefits. So it's wonderful to have a one-on-one trainer. It's great if you have the discipline to train yourself. But if you can find a group of friends who have a common goal, and our group that Suzanne's leading us through is a golf group. And so we're doing core strength exercises and things that are about our golf game. And you can have training aligned with what you want to do. As you were saying, Suzanne, whether it's an Ironman marathon to, I just want to play golf and not feel sore with backaches because I've got proper exercises.
Yes. And it definitely helps to have community for sure. I think that really makes a big difference on your efforts. If it's a class or if it's a walking group or a golf group or like a league that you're playing, pickleball league, it's really great to have that community. And helps a lot, I think. And then also your class, I love after class, y'all have coffee. So that is great. And then I teach an aqua aerobics class, and that whole group, afterward has lunch together. And it's just great to see that.
It helps you get out, especially nobody likes to go to a workout. It's not fun. But if you know afterwards you've got camaraderie, you've got people looking out for you. It makes it fun because now you have a social aspect that gets into it. And we all want to be healthy. And if we've got friends and camaraderie as a part of that, it just makes it that much easier.
It does.
You mentioned pickleball. So this leads into my next discussion, which is injury prevention and dynamic warm-ups. The pickleball is so popular nowadays. I think it's the number one growing popular sport in the world right now. I ran into a friend of mine who's a chiropractic surgeon the other day, and I said, what do you think about pickleball? He says, oh, I love pickleball. And I said, well, how long have you been playing? He says, oh, I don't play at all. I just love pickleball because of all the injuries that come, and my practice is booming because of pickleball. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit about injury prevention, dynamic warm-ups, so to speak. How do you lead your classes into a warm-up process that helps them prepare for the day?
Yes, you definitely need a dynamic warm-up to help to get the joints lubricated. Motion is lotion. So you need to get the joints lubricated, and then also ready to work however you're going to work. So your warm-up will be a little different if you're planning to run or if you're planning to golf. But you definitely need the warm-up to help to get the blood flowing, especially if it's colder. Possibly a little longer warm up. I can't tell you how many times I've heard of athletes who are running onto the court to play pickleball or running onto the court to play tennis or golf, and they are hopping out of the car, maybe do a couple swings, and then they're out. That is not the best idea. Definitely not a good idea as we're getting older. You really need that warm up.
Is there a time involved? You want to be warming up 3 minutes, 5 minutes? Tell me what a good warm up would be. And does it include stretching, or is it more about motion to get the body?
More about the motion of the dynamic movement, like to where like you may be doing leg swings or arm circles or wood chop or rotational movements. I definitely recommend those. At the most, maybe like 8 minutes. I'd say 10 minutes. Probably don't need that much, but definitely need more than a couple minutes of that warm up.
Is it important to do cool downs or warm downs or post stretching from workout? That's probably where I'm the worst. Is we just got through working out. All right, let me bug out because I've got to go to a meeting or something like that. Tell me about the importance at the end of a good workout for movement stretching.
Definitely want to do a cool down at the end, and then I like to grab the straps and like to work on the hamstrings where you're lying on your back, pulling the leg back to get a good hamstring, and then also lower back stretch. As we get older, we definitely lose our mobility, so it is important to have the warm up, and then at the end also to have a cool down, and then even incorporating other classes like a yoga class is helpful. And then, if you're taking yoga class, you need to incorporate the other classes with the weights and the dumbbells. So it's good to do a mix of things for sure and cross train.
Listen, and I'll tell you about yoga for those macho men who thought yoga is just for women. If you've ever had the experience of doing yoga, and I do yoga with my wife on occasion, yoga is not easy. Yoga is so good for us. And I know a lot of my macho guys are like, yeah, yoga for the women. Try it sometime, cowboy. If you've never been to a yoga class as a guy, not only is it good for you, but it's not easy. So I would say what a great marital exercise too is go to a yoga class with your wife. Now, ask your wife first. She may not want you there, quite frankly, because the yoga studios are their own inner sanctum sometimes.
This is true.
I read a book years ago. We're going to talk about strength training right now. I read a book, I was probably 20 years old. It was called Younger Next Year. And I came from a family of cardiovascular. My dad had heart issues. So it was all about cardiovascular, making sure I had a healthy heart. And the weight training came in college when I played basketball, but more so than ever, the book advocated anaerobics, meaning weight training as we grow older is even more important than cardio. So let's talk about training, and weight training is non-negotiable. Tell me about your thoughts on weight training, what that means.
It is very important, and everybody needs to be doing it. No matter what your goals are, you definitely need the weight training. Whether you're using like either machines or dumbbells or your own weight or bands or a mix of it, it's good to change it up. I would say twice a week at least on the weight training. As we get older, we lose muscle mass. If we're not actively training, like you may lose half of your muscle mass in your lifetime if you are not actively training. So we need to work at it in order to keep it.
I tell you, as we get older, I'm watching muscle atrophy. And for those in our Retirement Spy podcast who are people of their aging and retirement, we all know that we're losing muscle mass. It's muscle atrophy is just a part of it. We want to do this just beyond, not just for muscle. We always want to look good, but this is protecting your joints. It's improving bone density. This is improving metabolism, quite frankly. Suzanne led us to somebody last week that was talking about testosterone for men, and exercise in itself in a metabolic fashion will actually help testosterone. There's so many benefits that come from this, right?
It is. Yes. And definitely the metabolism we need, like in order to help the weight, overall your weight. As we get older, if we lose muscle mass, we'll slow down our metabolism, be gaining weight, and then you're at higher risk for other health conditions.
Is there a benefit one way or the other between free weights and machines? I have friends of mine who are absolutely convinced that the free weights are important because of balance and everything else versus the convenience of the machines where you can just hit the weight and just go, right?
It is great to do a combination of both. If you're on your own and you're more comfortable, you may be more comfortable on the machines, you're lined up correctly. It's a little easier to do. Like the weights, you're on your own a little bit more. You need to know what you're doing or have a trainer. And then also, not all machines are working each arm or leg on its own. So if you have a dominant leg or arm, you may want to do a little bit of the dumbbell work. Or squats or lunges where you're doing one leg at a time. But it is good to change it up. If you're going to the gym, you're always doing exactly one workout. Over time, your muscles get used to that. So you definitely need to change in your workout, either the weight or the repetitions or the exercise, or even the speed of the exercise.
That's right. And you don't need to have a gym to be healthy in strength training. You've mentioned resistance bands, big rubber bands that you can do to do strength. Also body weight training, i.e. squats, things that you can do with your body, push-ups, things that are actually helping with strength training so that you don't necessarily have to be in a gym with weights and have all that equipment.
Yes. And even if you incorporate it in your day a little bit on the resistance, like the bands, if you're not able to make it into the gym, you could use the bands at home and do a few minutes. It doesn't have to be a whole hour or a whole half hour. You can, add it in your day if you have time, when you have time.
Push-ups. I strongly recommend push-ups. And Suzanne's wonderful in our class because she makes us do more push-ups than you will ever imagine. But they're all good for you because it's all core strength.
It is. And I also love the plank. If you're able to get down on the elbows and knees are okay, and your shoulders, the plank is a great core exercise.
Suzanne, I'm going to tell on you. Suzanne has this one workout that we do called the Sally Ups. And it's a demonic song that she plays, and we have to do a series of push-ups where we're holding the plank and then going down and holding a lower push-up. And it's something when she says, okay, Sally Ups, everybody in the class groans and we all complain, but it's probably the most difficult and probably the best exercise for us. So thank you for that.
Right. Yep, you're all working hard on those, I know, and that is not an easy exercise.
We liked it so much, we named our workout group, which is some 20 guys. We've called it the Sally Ups after that one workout that we hate so much. Switch gears. Let's talk about cardio for the health. And this is, as I say, near and dear to my heart, that's so funny, because of my past. Tell me about cardio, and as we age, how important is cardio and how much do we need to stay healthy?
Anything we're doing regularly is great. So I recommend, a half hour every day, or at least almost every day of the week. But the cardio has to get your heart rate up. If you're out there walking your dog slowly, that's activity, but it's not cardio. So you really need to have your heart rate up. You should be able to carry a conversation. However, you ought to be winded. So you really need to get your heart rate up. It's good to change it up. Sorry about that.
No worries.
It's good to change it up. So, either if you're walking, you need to be walking quickly. So you need to be moving those arms. If you have a hill to walk up, an incline on the treadmill, that's great. Or swimming, riding the bike, any of those activities are good cardio. Hiking, but half hour, I would say almost every day of the week, but you have to be winded and get that heart rate up.
For those on the air, you may have seen popular studios around the country called Orange Theory. They're workout studios. The concept, if I'm wrong, Suzanne, correct me, Orange Theory is about working out at a certain heart rate. This is the orange zone, so that you're getting proper health. And they have their own method that may be good, bad, right, wrong, or indifferent. I like Orange Theory because they're in one of my shopping centers, and so I promote Orange Theory sometimes. Is that the concept, Suzanne, when people think about the Orange Theory, it's trying to reach a certain heart rate that's good for your body?
Yes, exactly. And I like to incorporate it in classes also to where we're doing the weights, but then we do a little bit of aerobic activity, and then your heart rate is higher like the whole class. And as long as you're not going too high, and you have to be careful of the impact if you have any issues with your joints. So you want that heart rate up, but there's a lot of ways to do that.
Tell me about HIIT. HIIT is high intensity training. At our age, as we age, is HIIT training as good as long extended cardiovascular, getting our heart rate up? Tell us the difference between, I guess, what would be interval cardio versus more longer cardio, if I'm saying that right.
It is good to do both. I would say the HIIT, the higher intensity training, possibly twice a week of your cardio, and then the other day is a little more slower heart rate. And the HIIT also have to be careful because a lot of times the HIIT workouts are high intensity and jumping and things like that. So always be careful of your joints. But I think it is good to do both. And I would say on the HIIT, probably twice a week is usually enough. And you can also incorporate that on the treadmill to where you're walking up a high hill a couple minutes and then you slow it back down and then you walk back up the high hill, or even on the bike to where you're working a couple minutes really hard and then maybe slowing it down.
It's really good. Fitbit invented the Fitbit watch, or the instrument, years ago. And somehow when that happened, there became a metric that may or may not be valid. It's I need to get my 10,000 steps a day. Tell me about your thoughts of 10,000 steps. Is that a real benchmark that makes any sense, or is it something that's just out there that came as a result of a product?
I think that is a good kind of range, definitely. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the movement in the day. So, a half hour or an hour you do in the gym is great, but also what you do those other hours in the day is important. So try to incorporate, more up and down, moving up and down this, to walk at lunchtime or walk after lunch. Or if you're on a telephone call, maybe take a walk, or work in the yard. Just how many times you're getting off the couch or out of the chair at the desk is important.
Motion is the key. You get up. So many of us sit at the desk all day long, whether you're still working about to approach retirement, but even as we're aging, sometimes just sitting around reading and things like that, we need to have more motion, and we need to be conscious of it for lots of different reasons.
Right. And there's, I don't know if you've heard about the blue zones.
Yes.
The regions around the country who live to be 100, and a lot of that, all those communities are moving all day long. They're not at the gym, but they're moving, they're working the land, they're walking to the store, they're walking to get their, groceries. They're active in the day, and that is really important.
There's a lot to be said for that. And this isn't just rural areas. If you've ever seen the documentary on the Blue Zones, you do have a lot of rural areas with tribal type cultures, but we do have urban areas as well. And I think the Europeans do it so much better than we do. They walk everywhere they go. They eat well, meaning they eat just like I would like to eat every day, but I guarantee you they're spending more time moving than I do in a single day. Question: This is
Yes, and they have community again.
as a part of what they're doing, and they're eating probably more organically than we are because they don't have as much processed food in the blue zones that we do. That was my one common observation. Balance training and fall prevention. So you're really good in your class. A lot of the exercise Suzanne will put us into, whether it's simple curls, she'll put us on a Bosu ball and we're doing curls with one leg in the air while we're curling. Tell me about balance training is so important for us as we age as it relates to fall prevention. Somehow there's a direct correlation I see as we all get older that, well, you saw Bob fell, Bob broke a hip, went to the hospital, and next thing you know, Bob's dead. I don't know what the direct correlation of falling, hips breaking, and dying, but something's there. Tell us about balance training for fall prevention.
It makes an impact for sure. And all we really need is a couple minutes a day, but I would do it every day, the balance. Either whether you're on one leg, holding one leg up, or like heel toe walking, or even Tai Chi is great for balance. It's good to incorporate a little bit every day into your routine, even if it's only a few minutes, because it definitely will help. Like if you're losing your balance, it will help you to gain your balance and not to have the fall, which, as you mentioned, is not a good path to go down.
You know, when we were young, and I'm thinking about skiing, when you fell skiing, you just got back up. Nowadays, when you fall, our bones are a little bit brittler. Our muscle mass isn't quite there to be able to help us, our strength to be able to prevent a fall. In other words, I love our core work and our push-ups that we do, because when I lose my balance and I can catch myself and I have enough muscle mass to be able to catch myself on a handrail, catch myself wherever I am to prevent a worse accident that could have happened if I didn't have strength training and I didn't have some balance work, right?
Yes, and you need to do that while we're younger and not actually already losing our balance. And not everybody is aware of that or realizes it until it's already too late, and then your balance is bad and you're like, oh, I should have done balance training. So now is the time to begin, whatever age you are, if you're not already doing the balance training. And even the weight training as well, too. You're not going to realize you need that until you're like, oh, it's a little harder to get up off the couch.
Or better yet, if you did have a fall because of lack of balance and you try to catch yourself and you realize your muscle mass isn't quite what it used to be, you're like, oh yeah, if I just have an imbalance and I fall, I can catch myself on the railing. Then you're all of a sudden you're finding catching yourself on the railing is a monumental task because you don't have muscle mass like you did. Tell me about daily movement beyond the gym. We talked about more of a formal process with the trainer, with the cardio and the weights. Movement outside works, and we touched about this earlier. Talk about some ideas outside the gym where we can get our exercise and stay moving.
Yes. If you're in your neighborhood and there's anybody you want to catch up with, like a lot of times I hear in retirement, like, oh, I'm going out to lunch all the time with people, which is great. But they also are mentioning, oh, I'm not eating as well because I'm going out to lunch as much. So maybe go on a walk instead, like have your chat and walk. If you're playing golf, maybe walk the course. Any movement in the day that you can get. Even around the house, you're doing chores around the house or going up and down the stairs. Outside, gardening is a good one.
Taking the stairs, as you mentioned. So many places we go, we could take an elevator. Why not take the stairs if you can, right?
Yes, for sure.
So many people like to listen to podcasts. I'd suggest you go walking in your neighborhood with a friend, or walking neighborhood listening to the podcast like theretirementspy.com.
I love that idea. That is a great idea, and I definitely do that.
And I'll find myself, if I'm not with a friend, listening to audiobooks. There's always something you want to be listening to. And so there's so many different ways to get out and enjoy nature. You have a pet. I have a pet. If you have a pet, what a great opportunity. You benefit your pet. You benefit you getting out with your pets. Or I like to advocate for the health of our marriages. Go take a walk with your spouse after dinner. There are a million things there are to talk about. The latest politics, the latest things on news media, but it's a way to get out and to do things that are multitasking that benefit the other areas of your life as we age.
Yes, and I definitely love the idea of walking after dinner, because we're eating a meal, our calories are just in us, and we're going to be relaxing on the couch or watching television or going to bed. So it's really great if you can get in that little activity after the last meal.
Perfect transition, Sam. Let's talk about nutrition and the mind diet, if that's appropriate. There's so many different type of nutrition programs now. Good grief. There's the Mediterranean. There's all these different programs. As we age, we don't need as many calories as we did, and we can get into bad habits that we had when we were younger. From a trainer's point of view, talk to me about your feelings of nutrition and what that means as we age.
Yes, nutrition is Very important for sure, and definitely needs to be individualized. So not every meal plan may work for every person. There's, as you mentioned, a lot of information out there. There's a lot of wrong information out there. I would say keep it, keep it easy. Half your plate ought to be the colors of the rainbow, the vegetables, and like the also like the berries are great. Like a lot of blueberries are researched on there for mind health. So definitely eating the plants. And then we're needing protein. So we need protein as we age to maintain the muscle mass, increase our muscle mass. And I would recommend getting a little bit of protein at every meal and snack. So in the morning, you're not just going to want to have the bagel. You're going to need some protein, either like eggs or Greek yogurt or like a little bit of cheese. Is important all throughout the day.
And I think you're right. I think people need to probably be better educated on nutrition than I am, in that when I think of protein, the first thing I think of is chicken, steak. There's so many different ways to get protein. And guys, if you haven't tried tofu before, it's not bad. So there are different ways that you can get your protein. And as we mentioned, as a part of this, muscle atrophy is a big part of aging. And so we need that protein to keep going. But to your point, and I love the way you said this, there's so much, not necessarily misinformation, but one diet that's works so well for your neighbor that makes them look so good may not be the right diet for you. Correct?
Correct. Obviously moderation of everything. Olive oil is very good. You want to be eating a little more of like the olive oil, avocado type of
good
feel.
fats.
Yes, not the butter or the margarine, not ideal. And then also like the nuts are good for us, like the nuts or like the flax or chia seeds are important to incorporate to help the overall health and digestion. Managing, how much you're eating is important. Obviously, weight management. Like you want to be eating healthy, but also you don't want huge meals. And ideally, if you can eat earlier in the day, like your larger meals earlier in the day is better. Or even like the mini meals in the day, like have a morning meal, then have a snack, and then for lunch, and then maybe like another snack. Alcohol, kind of empty calories, doesn't have a lot of nutritional value. So definitely, in moderation there, I would say is important. Water, definitely important. We need to be getting enough water to help our joints, the organs, and also like the mood and energy as well too.
No question. Processed food has become such the buzzword that we're talking about nowadays. And in the past, as a younger man, having processed food around is just natural. I love putting snacks around the house now I do this, my wife does, like I'm not a nutrition person, but we found different things, to your point, having nuts out. And that's just a great thing that you can snack on that is appetite suppressant. I found something that I love now called lolly peppers. There's these seedless little bell peppers that you get that are almost like candy, and they're just so wonderful to have. But you can find different snacks now that appease your appetite, so you're not eating so ravenously meal to meal. And those small little bites to eat during the day that are not processed are probably pretty good for you, relatively speaking.
Yes, definitely a lot of ingredients now in our packaged items. So read the labels. You want to be able to know what's on the label. If you're not able to read the labels or the words or don't know what they are, probably not the best choice. Try to limit like all the packages and eat more whole foods.
You talked a little bit about hydration as a part of what we were just discussing. Let's go a little bit deeper on hydration because it is so important. And I'm the world's worst criminal on not hydrating enough, whereas my wife, I would say, probably overhydrates. But hydration is the key to health. How do you determine the appropriate amount of hydration during the day?
Great question. You always hear like you want to have 8 cups a day. And that's kind of on average, and it is a good average. But if you're active or if it's hot outside, you will need more. I actually just got a water bottle for Christmas. It's called the Hydrate Spark, and it's an app on the water bottle, and then you measure how much water that you're actually drinking in a day. Because I knew I wanted to be drinking more, but I didn't know how much I was drinking in a day at times, and so it will actually measure how much you're drinking and also give you a goal on your age, your height, your weight, your activity level. So usually my day, it has on there, I need 80 ounces of water a day. But it also incorporates, if you're having coffee or tea or watermelon has a lot of water in it. All that is also incorporated into your water intake.
It's so important. And I just need to do it better, but I'd encourage everybody to hydrate better. It seems to be a keystone as it relates to our overall health. On supplements, let me switch gears with you. There's so many, once again, social media, so many different pushes for different supplements that are good for us. And I'm not just talking about vitamin A, B, C, but different drugs, not necessarily FDA approved, they're being pushed toward us that are supposed to be great for our mind. So be so many grateful things that can be done. Talk to me about your impressions on supplements, when they make sense, when they don't, and what we should look for.
They are unregulated, as you mentioned, which is a problem. So even if it tells you, oh, here's what it has in there, it may not. So you want to make sure it's, like another party tests it. You can also look for a label, the NSF on the product, and that's always a good reputable item. And then we want to be checking with our team of doctors, and then your blood work, your biomarkers, and if you're needing extra vitamins or any products. You only want to be taking them just because everybody else is taking them, or you read it on Instagram. Oh, I need to take this too. So you really need to check with your team of doctors. So have a good team of doctors who you trust, who listen to you and your goals, and then decide if you may or may not need to add a supplement. But there is one out there, creatine monohydrate.
Tell me.
That is talked about a lot lately. It used to be more if you were in the gym, a muscle head, and you were taking it to gain muscle, it helps you to work a little bit harder, and that will help you to gain muscle mass a little bit better. Probably a lot of college athletes, or maybe all college athletes, may be taking that. So it's really well researched. I did a research on it back in 1990. It was a small research in college to where it helped to increase muscle mass. But now it's talked about also in cognitive health. So definitely check with your doctors, talk with your doctors on that. But that is one that is like a lot of research is done on it, and there isn't a lot of negative impact with that one. And it could help, possibly cognitive health, possibly bone density, and then, overall your workouts work a little bit harder, and then to gain a little more muscle.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a great piece of advice. We've talked about physical health. We've talked about nutrition. Tell me about stress management. When I think of stress management, I'm thinking a good part of our holistic health here. We're looking at stress, breath, meditation that also can be a crucial part for our mental acuity, as well as stress management, as I say. Talk to me about stress, breath, and meditation and how that plays into our overall health management.
We are definitely going all day long. We're very busy in our lives. So really taking the time to have some quiet time, and then to breathe is very important. It's easy to do, but also hard to do. Hard to find that time, hard to make yourself do that. But if you can, I think there are a lot of benefits. All you need, is a quiet room, a quiet space, or even outdoors, a mat if you want to lie down and just quietly breathe. Or like a whole class, like a meditation class, or at the end of your yoga class, you're lying on the mat and breathing. Very important and easy to do, but we're not doing it.
More so.
And we should be.
We should be doing more. There's new things going around. Breath work is very popular nowadays. And breath work is, I guess you would call it a guided meditation that's focused on the breath. You can Google it yourself and find out more about it. But also, to your point, yoga incorporates so much of breath work as a part of yoga, and certainly at the end when you're doing your cool downs. But I think everybody will find more relaxation if they find a way to do it. And as I say, it can be as simple as meditation. It can be just sitting in your garden in a meditative style, but it's engaging the lungs to try to find a de-stressor.
Yes, and then also slowing down in the day if you're running around hustle and bustle of the day.
And oddly enough, the things that drive us stressful the most are our smartphones. Our smartphones have so many apps, though, that like Calm is one of the apps I like to use that can help you de-stress, help you with that breath work and meditation. So use your cell phones carefully to do the things we need to do to unstress.
Yes.
This gets into cognitive health too. Just slowing down and having breathing exercises and meditation improves our breath or improves our health. But talk about cognitive health. We really need to keep our brains active, right?
Definitely need to keep our brains active. Also, what we're eating, the exercise, but then also just activities that we're doing. If it's a crossword puzzle or reading books or a book club, engaging the mind in different ways. If all you're doing is a crossword, you need to change it up and add some other activities like cards. It's really good on the mind to keep the mind active and engaged. And then also with your community, talking about the book you're reading, or if you watched a movie or television program, definitely want to be engaging the mind in new activities and different activities every day.
I tell you, that's so important. I think Mahjong is the hottest thing going around nowadays. And it's one social, which is great, but it's also a degree of cognitive training. We had bridge was the predecessor back in my parents' generation. Mahjong is seemingly what is most important nowadays. And it does have some mental stimulation and certainly great community benefits for people getting together with their friendship groups.
Yes.
Let me close. We've been so happy to have you here today. If there's one piece of advice or one takeaway you could give to our audience today about aging and what we can be doing to be better and living better and longer and healthier, what would the takeaway or the recommendation be for the day?
So wherever you are now, begin now. So not too late to begin. You need to incorporate all of the topics on longevity that we talked about. The quality of life is important, and what we do right now is going to impact how we live later on, and in our later lives, in our later years. So just begin it now, add it every day, regularly, just make it a lifestyle. And then you have to move it or lose it. Motion is lotion. I love those mottos.
And you take it one step at a time. So it's not a monumental, I need to get in the gym 7 days a week. It's simply as taking a walk, researching to find a trainer, get with community groups to get together, to find a workout group that could be fun community-wise, whatever gets you off the couch and into the gym or outside to do something, whether it's individually, a trainer with the community, find out what that is. And it can be as simple as I say, taking a walk. It can be fun pickleball. It could be something like that. But I love motion is lotion. I'm going to go away with that. And I think that's the motto for the day. If you remember anything from the retirement spot today, motion is lotion, and get out there and do what you can to be healthy. Suzanne, thank you so much for being on the show today. We've learned so much today. Thank you. I hope we can have you again sometime with another subject matter.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And have a great day and keep moving.